In a small, cozy house lived a father named Daniel and his teenage daughter, Emily. They always shared the housework together, washing the dishes, tidying up the rooms, going shopping, and sometimes even cooking side by side. On their own, these tasks were simple, but when mixed with bigger responsibilities, things often became overwhelming. Daniel worked as a carpenter in a small workshop he had set up in their garage. The smell of fresh wood always filled the air. He usually worked on small orders, but this time he had taken on a much larger project than usual. A dining table with 4 chairs. The customer was in a hurry, and Daniel didn't want to deliver anything unfinished or poorly made. Meanwhile, Emily had her own challenge ahead. Her math exam was only a few days away, and the formulas, exercises, and difficult problems piled up in her head like a mountain. Both father and daughter felt stuck and exhausted. On one side, the housework demanded their attention. On the other, their personal responsibilities weighed heavily on their shoulders. Sometimes, the stress was so overwhelming that even starting seemed impossible. One evening, just as they both sat at the table looking defeated, the doorbell rang. A guest had arrived unexpectedly. Sophie, Daniel's friend. She was a kind woman, and when she stepped inside and saw their worried faces, she smiled and said, "Looks like each of you is standing in front of a mountain." Emily sighed. "I have a math exam coming up, so much to study, I don't know where to begin." Daniel added with a heavy breath, "And I have to finish a whole table and 4 chairs in just a few days. On top of that, there's all the housework. I honestly don't know where to start." Sophie paused for a moment, placed her hands on the table, and said gently, "Listen, when you stand in front of a mountain, if you only look at the peak, you'll feel hopeless because it seems so far away. But if you decide to take just a few steps today, you'll realize the climb is possible. Tasks work the same way." She turned to Emily and said, "You have an exam, right? If you tell yourself, 'I have to study the whole book at once,' your brain will freeze. But if you say, 'Right now, I'll just solve 10 simple exercises,' your mind relaxes. Our brains love small victories. Every time you finish a small task, it gives you energy for the next one." Then she looked at Daniel and continued, "It's the same for you. That table and set of chairs looks huge, but if you see it as a series of puzzles, it becomes manageable. Today, just measure and cut the wood. Tomorrow, sand the pieces. After that, assemble them. Each stage you finish feels like a little victory." Emily asked curiously, "What if time gets away from us and the work takes too long?" Sophie smiled. "That's why you need to set time blocks. Keep a clock or timer beside you. Say to yourself, 'This half hour is only for math problems,' or 'This half hour is just for washing dishes.' When the timer goes off, even if the task isn't finished, take a short break. That way, your mind won't burn out and you'll come back refreshed." She paused, then added, "Believe me, no one can climb a mountain in a single leap. Even the most successful people learn to move step by step." Daniel and Emily looked at each other, and for the first time that day, they smiled. That evening, they divided the housework into small pieces, first washing the dishes, then tidying the living room, and finally preparing dinner. Each step they completed gave them a sense of relief and accomplishment. The next day, Emily sat at her desk with her math book, working in focused intervals. Daniel was in the garage, moving through the big order stage by stage. The mountain in their minds had disappeared. All that remained was small stones to clear, one by one. From that day on, whenever Sophie came to visit again, Daniel and Emily would laugh and say, "Remember when you told us to climb the mountain step by step? Well, now we're mountain climbers." If this story was helpful or inspiring for you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Your support means a lot and helps us share more uplifting content.